Insemination. It is the process of introduction of semen from the husband or a donor by instruments into the vagina or a uterus of a female to bring about a pregnancy, which is not attainable by sexual intercourse. Semen can be introduced into the vagina, intravaginal insemination, cervical, intracervical, fallopian tube, intratubal, uterine cavity, intrauterine of the recipient. Intrauterine insemination is the most commonly used method of artificial insemination, higher success rate. Intravaginal insemination, low success rate. Intrauterine insemination, low. ITI, more invasive, risk of infection and higher cost are least commonly done artificial insemination. Female infertility account for 1/3 of infertility cases, male infertility for another third, combined male and infertility for another 15%, remainder cases unexplained. Types: artificial insemination homologous husband, artificial insemination donor, artificial insemination homologous pooled donor, semen to which semen from husband has been added. There is a technical possibility of husband being the father of the child. Procedure: semen is obtained by masturbation after a week abstinence, and 1 ml is deposited by means of a sterile needleless syringe just above the internal os at the time of ovulation, that is 14th day after menstruation. Semen is to be implanted, is washed in a laboratory and concentrated in a Harms F10 media without glutamine warmed at 37 degrees Celsius. This washing increases the chances of fertilization while removing mucus and non-motile sperms in the semen. A more efficient method of artificial insemination is to insert semen directly into the woman's uterus. When this method is employed, it is important that only washed semen is used, inserted by means of a catheter. Success rate of artificial insemination vary depend upon the type of insemination used. But typically, the success rate varies between 5 to 30%. Success rate can be affected by factors such as stress, quality of egg and sperm, medico-legal aspect, danger of litigation. The doctor may be sued following the birth of a defective child. To avoid this, the donor must be screened for any genetic defect. Nullity of marriage and divorce. It is not a ground for divorce if artificial insemination is done for sterility. If artificial insemination is done due to erectile dysfunction, it is a ground for decree of nullity in favor of the wife due to non-consummation of marriage. If artificial insemination donor is done without the consent of the husband, then he can file for divorce and sue the doctor, regarded as an act of cruelty for the purpose of donor. Legitimacy of the child. A child born through artificial insemination donor shall be presumed to be a legitimate, born within wedlock, with the consent of both the spouses and with all the rights of parentage and support and inheritance. Sperm and oocyte donor will have no parental right or duties in relation to the child, and their anonymity should be maintained. Anonymity. Adultery. Artificial insemination donor used for married woman with the consent of the husband does not amount to adultery on part of the wife or the donor. Moreover, the recipient cannot be held guilty of adultery because there is no physical union by coitus. Incest. Risk of instantaneous relationship between the offspring born by artificial insemination and the children of donor is possible. Married woman or widow. There is no legal bar on an unmarried woman, widow, going for a AAD, artificial insemination donor. A child born to a single woman through artificial insemination donor would be deemed to legitimate. However, artificial insemination donor should be performed only on a married woman with the written consent of her husband. Posthumous artificial insemination donor should through a sperm bank. A child born through artificial insemination homologous with the stored sperms for her of her deceased husband is considered to be legitimate, despite the existing law of presumption under the Indian Evidence Act. Psychosocial aspect. It is known that the husband consented to artificial insemination donor and the husband was not capable of consummating the marriage. Difficulty may arise. The identity of the donor is kept a secret. Nevertheless, it is not uncommon for such secrets to be leaked out with adverse consequences. Rights of sperm donors are debatable issues nowadays. Thank you.